At the company barbecue, my boss joked loudly, "She's great with spreadsheets but useless with people, even her husband left." I laughed and kept passing out plates, but I emailed the video clip to corporate that night. Monday morning, he called me into his office whispering, "You know that was just a joke, right?" I handed him a copy of his termination letter, signed by the CEO's wife, who happened to be my sister. I should have seen it coming. Greg Sanderson had been making snide comments for months, but that day at the barbecue? That was a new low, even for him. The worst part? Nobody said a word. People laughed along like it was some comedy show. My so-called team, people I'd helped when their numbers didn't add up, people I stayed late for, people I covered for when they messed up, just sat there, grinning at Greg's expense account humor. I left the barbecue early. Said I had a headache. Which wasn't a lie. My head was pounding so hard I could barely see straight. When I got home that night, I sat on the couch in the dark, phone in hand. The video played on repeat. Greg's voice, that sneer, the way the crowd tittered like high schoolers. "She's great with spreadsheets but useless with people, even her husband left." Over and over. I didn't sleep that night. My mind was a storm. Every comment Greg ever made, every time I'd kept my mouth shut. The time he joked about me being too rigid to work in marketing. The time he accidentally copied me on an email where he called me robotic and awkward. The time he asked if I was too busy watching cat videos to respond to an email. I'd let it all slide. I was the quiet one, the one who just did her job. But that night? Something snapped. I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Not this time. I knew exactly who to send the video to. My sister, Amanda, was the CEO's wife. We didn't advertise the connection. I'd always tried to make it on my own at the company. But I knew Amanda had a direct line to the CEO, her husband, James. I also knew she didn't like Greg. A few months back, she told me over drinks that Greg had hit on her at the holiday party. She'd brushed it off, but I remembered the way her face tightened when she talked about it. So I sent the email. Attached the clip. Kept it short. Just a timestamp, Greg's name, and the words, "Thought you'd want to see this." No explanation. No emotional breakdown. Just the facts. By Monday morning, the office felt like a different world. People were quiet, like they knew a storm was coming but didn't know where it would hit. Greg wasn't starting that day. He was pale, almost sweaty, pacing his office like a caged animal. Around 10 a.m., my inbox pinged. Subject, meeting request from Greg Sanderson to Jessica Shaw, "Can you come to my office for a quick chat?" I stared at the screen for a full minute. My heart was racing, but I felt weirdly calm. Like I'd been holding my breath for years and was finally exhaling. I walked down the hall slowly, steady steps. Knocked once, opened the door. Greg was sitting behind his desk, hands clasped like a kid in trouble at the principal's office. "Close the door," he muttered. I did. He didn't look at me. Just stared at the papers in front of him like they were written in a language he didn't understand. Finally, he looked up, eyes darting around like he was checking for hidden cameras. "You know that was just a joke, right?" His voice was low, tight. "Don't take it personally." I didn't respond. Just slid the folder across his desk. He opened it. I watched his face change as he read the top line. His eyes widened, mouth opening slightly, like he was about to say something but the words wouldn't come. His hands trembled as he flipped through the pages. "Signed by Amanda Harrison," I said quietly. His head snapped up, eyes full of panic. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. Just watched him crumble. That's when he whispered it, like he was trying to convince himself. "You can't be serious. You can't be serious." I turned and left without saying another word. When I got back to my desk, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Amanda, handled. "Let me know if you need anything else." I sat back in my chair, heart pounding, the taste of something new in my mouth. Not exactly satisfaction. Not yet. Just the start. The news spread like wildfire. By lunchtime that Monday, the whispers started. People huddled in the break room, at their desks, in the hallways, anywhere they thought they were safe from being overheard. Did you hear about Greg? He got canned, just like that. Wait, who even reported him? I heard it had something to do with that barbecue video. I kept my head down. Answered emails. Ran the numbers for the monthly report. Pretended like nothing had happened. But it didn't take long for the stares to start. First, it was Sarah from marketing, who sent me a Slack message. Hey, was it you who sent the clip? Then Carl, one of the junior analysts, cornered me by the printer. Hey, Jessica, just wondering. Did you, talk to HR about Greg? His voice was casual, but his eyes were sharp, looking for cracks. I just gave a half smile and shrugged. Didn't confirm. Didn't deny. Let them wonder. But the office was a pressure cooker now. People started acting different around me. Some gave me a wide berth, like I was radioactive. Others tried to cozy up, fake smiles, overly helpful, dropping compliments like coins into a wishing well. Amanda texted me again that evening. Keep your head down. We've got your back. Just let this play out. I thought I could just go back to my work and let the dust settle. I was wrong. 2 days later, I got a call from HR. Jessica, can you come in for a quick meeting? My stomach dropped. My hands went clammy. I walked in, and there was Lisa, head of HR, sitting with a stiff smile. Just a routine check-in, nothing formal, she said, like I hadn't just been called into an interrogation room. We're just reviewing some concerns that have come up. About the workplace environment. About how certain situations were handled. She leaned forward, voice low, like we were swapping secrets. Some employees feel unsettled. After Greg's departure. I stared at her. You mean after he humiliated me in front of the entire company? Her smile flickered. Well, yes, but you know, some people feel that the way things unfolded was a bit extreme. I let out a sharp laugh. Extreme? What he did to me wasn't extreme. She held up her hands, palms out, like she was the peacekeeper in a hostage negotiation. I'm just relaying what's come up, Jessica. That's all. We're all just trying to maintain a positive culture here. That word, culture, set me off. Oh, you mean a culture where the boss can make personal jokes about an employee's divorce at a public event and no one says a damn thing? Her smile turned brittle. Jessica, I'm just saying, people are talking. They're wondering if there's some favoritism at play. Because of your connection to Amanda. There it was. I stared at her, feeling the heat rise in my chest. You think I got Greg fired because of my sister? She didn't answer. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor, loud and sharp. You want to investigate me? Fine. But while you're at it, maybe look into how Greg knew about my personal life in the first place. And who else has been spreading gossip around this office? I left before she could say another word. That night, I didn't sleep again. I stared at the ceiling, turning it over in my head. I thought getting Greg fired would be the end of it. A clean break. But it wasn't. I realized I hadn't just taken down one man. I'd cracked something open in this company. People were picking sides. Whispers were turning into rumors. My name was in people's mouths, half in admiration, half in fear. And I knew one thing for sure, Greg might have been the first. But he wouldn't be the last. By the end of the week, the air in the office was poison. People didn't just avoid me, they watched me. Like I was a grenade with the pin half pulled. Conversation stopped when I walked by. Slack channels where I used to get tagged were suddenly silent. I wasn't dumb. I knew the whispers. She got Greg fired. Must be nice having family at the top. She's gunning for more, you know. She's got a list. The thing is, they weren't wrong. Because once I started digging, I couldn't stop. After the HR meeting, I sat in my apartment that night, seething. I couldn't believe Lisa had the audacity to call me into that room and hint that I'd done something wrong. I opened my laptop. Started scrolling through old files, old emails. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, at first. But as I scrolled, things started jumping out at me. There was that expense report Greg had filed last quarter, $4,804, client entertainment at a steakhouse that didn't match up with the calendar. There was a weirdly large reimbursement from the marketing team for event materials that didn't have any receipts attached. And then I saw an email chain from 3 months ago. It was between Greg, Lisa from HR, and Evan from operations. Subject line, performance review adjustments. In the body? They were revising performance evaluations for certain employees. My name was on the list. So was Marcus from IT, who got demoted last quarter. So was Elena from procurement, who left suddenly without explanation. The words in that email made my skin crawl. Jessica's numbers are solid, but we need to find areas for improvement. Let's adjust her communication skills score downward. Can we justify a 2.5? Marcus, document a few missed deadlines, even if informal. Elena, focus on team cohesion concerns. Use anonymous feedback if needed. Anonymous feedback. That's what they were calling it. I sat back, staring at the screen, heart racing. This wasn't just a one-off. It was a pattern. A game they played behind closed doors. Greg wasn't the only problem. Lisa was in on it. Evan, too. I wasn't just the quiet one anymore. I was holding a match in a room full of dry grass. The next morning, I walked into the office with a flash drive in my pocket. I didn't send anything to Amanda yet. Not yet. Instead, I printed the email chain. Put it in an envelope. Slid it into Marcus's backpack when he wasn't looking. I found Elena's LinkedIn. She'd updated her job title to freelance consultant. I sent her a message. Told her I had something she'd want to see. By noon, Marcus was pacing the hall outside the break room, face flushed, fists clenched. I heard him mutter under his breath, "They set me up." By 3 p.m., I had an email from Elena, "Holy shit. Let's talk. You free tonight?" And all the while, Lisa kept watching me. I'd catch her eyes in meetings, sharp and calculating. Like she knew I had something, but didn't know what. That Friday, Amanda called me late, 10 p.m. "Jess, you're starting a fire." I took a breath, my voice steady. "Good." But she wasn't done. "There's more," she said quietly. "More? Amanda, what do you mean?" She hesitated, then spoke fast, like she was afraid she'd change her mind. "Greg wasn't just harassing you. He was skimming from the budget. James found inconsistencies in the Q4 reports, and we think Lisa helped cover it up." I sat there, frozen, the weight of it hitting me all at once. This wasn't just petty office politics. This was theft. Fraud. And now? I was in the middle of it. I didn't sleep that weekend. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, the whole company ready to topple over with me. Monday morning, the emails started. Marcus sent out a mass email with the subject line, "Performance review manipulation." What's really happening here? He attached the email chain I'd slipped him, naming names. People started replying. Others piled on, old complaints, whispers, things people had been too scared to say out loud. By lunchtime, the office was buzzing. The head of legal was in a glass conference room, blinds drawn, having an emergency meeting with HR. That afternoon, Lisa tried to pull me into another casual chat. This time, I didn't go alone. I walked in with my phone recording, slid the printed copies of Greg's expense reports and the email chain onto the table. Lisa's face drained of color. "I think we're done here," I said, my voice steady. Evan tried to cover his tracks too, but it was too late. By Wednesday, Amanda told me they'd uncovered $140,000 in falsified reimbursements tied to Greg's projects. Lisa had helped approve most of them. Evan had looked the other way. Corporate sent out a company-wide memo. Effective immediately, Lisa Parker and Evan Bailey are no longer employed with Carter and Field Financial. We take employee concerns seriously and are committed to a respectful workplace. But it wasn't over for me. Because once the smoke cleared, people started looking at me. I'd blown up the whole system. And they didn't like it. The whispers changed, she took them all down. She's dangerous. Probably gunning for more. I felt it in meetings. Cold shoulders, short answers, eyes avoiding mine. Even Amanda kept her distance. She texted once, "You did the right thing, but it's going to be rough for a while. Just keep your head down." But it wasn't that simple. I thought taking down Greg would be enough, but the whole company was rotten. I started getting pulled into compliance meetings. The auditors wanted me to explain how I found the files, how I knew where to look. They started asking if I'd known about the fraud all along. There were rumors that maybe I'd been part of it at first. After all, I worked under Greg, didn't I? Hadn't I approved some of those invoices? I tried to explain, but they didn't want to hear it. By the end of the month, HR called me in again. Different HR, Lisa was long gone. They told me they were restructuring. My position was being phased out. I sat there, staring at the new HR director, a woman who didn't know me at all, who spoke in soft, practiced words like a machine. "After everything I did?" I asked, my voice tight. She gave a small, rehearsed smile. "Sometimes, it's best for all parties to move forward." I walked out of that building for the last time with a box of my things, my head held high, but inside I felt hollow. I thought about Amanda, about how she hadn't returned my last few texts. About how the company had cleaned house, but also quietly swept me out the door. The funny part? I didn't even get a severance package. That night, I sat in my apartment, staring at the walls. No job. No friends from the office. No calls from Amanda. But I didn't feel sorry for myself. Because I knew I'd done what needed to be done. Greg? Blacklisted. Word spread fast in our industry, he couldn't get another job. Last I heard, he was doing freelance consulting, living off savings, trying to spin the story like he was a victim. Lisa? She lost her license to practice HR. The state board investigated her for ethical violations, and she was barred from working in HR for 5 years. Evan? Fired and sued by the company for negligence. He ended up selling his house to cover legal fees. And me? I took a breath. I sent out resumes, but I didn't rush. I took a few weeks off, went to the beach, sat by the water, and let it all sink in. Eventually, I found a new job, different company, different city. Smaller place, where the culture wasn't so toxic. I kept my head down, but I never let myself get walked on again. And Amanda? We drifted. I realized something along the way, just because someone's family doesn't mean they'll stand by you. Her silence when I got fired said it all. She made sure the mess got cleaned up, for her husband's company. But she didn't fight for me. I learned my lesson the hard way. Never let them think you're weak. Never let them think you won't fight back. But also? Sometimes the people you think are on your side will leave you out in the cold when it suits them. That's life. And me? I'll be fine. I'll always be fine. Because now, they all know, I'm not the one to mess with.